Welcome back to Nick Landis Comic Corner Classic Young Classics. This episode number 1551 and Doubleshot number 1445. I got two Marvel trades. The first one, Collect Issues, came out in 2015. We have Uncanny Avengers Volume 1, Counter-Evolutionary. Yes, despite the fact it is Volume 1, it is the sole trade to collect issues from Volume 2 from Uncanny Avengers. And it's only 5 issues. It's written by Rick Remender, and all 5 issues are, with Gary Duggan as the co-writer for issues 3 and 4, probably because it takes the next volume. We have Daniel Kuna doing all 5 issues. Daniel Kuna also is to cover our first 3 issues before switching issue 4, where Leno Yu and Sonny Go, who does issue 4, and Chris Aquina does issue number 5. Now, with this one, we have a brand new lineup. Yes, with Havoc and Wasp leading the team. And, of course, Steve Rogers, who replaced him with the Sam Wilson Captain America, Brother Voodoo, Dr. Voodoo, Quicksilver, and Sabretooth. Yes, Sabretooth. This is the inverted Sabretooth. He doesn't do very much in these issues. Now, the story is simply this one. The Scarlet Witch has gone missing. But where is she gone to? Is she on Earth? No, she's basically found on Counter-Earth with the High Evolutionary. Yep, because Historic was exploring something that was set up in Access. You see, it was revealed in Access, a very stupid retcon. That, as far as I can tell, it's a retcon that is still receiving negative reaction this very day. You see, in the actual retcon, it was retconned in the main Avengers vs. Access miniseries that Magneto is not the father of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. A lot of people have theorized for the past 7 years of the reasoning for this retcon. The reason is because the blood feud between Marvel and Fox over the X-Men. And they decided to retcon that, and this book retconned the fact they were mutants. Yep, they're no longer considered mutants. Yeah, apparently apparently the High Evolutionary, despite the fact he's been involved with their backstory for years, where it reveals that they're not really mutants. They're basically kind of like mutated humans per se. Which I'm not really sure of why the heck Rick Remender thought this was a good idea. So, they go to Counter-Earth to rescue Scarlet Witch, and they do. There's also a character known as the Low Evolutionary, and also it's revealed that the Knights of Wundagore, the original version of them, the one that's been popping up over the years, they're dead. Yep, the Knights of Wundagore, the one that's been popping up since the 80s, yeah, apparently High Evolutionary killed them all and replaced them with some more people who are mutated animals. Counter-Earth, in case you don't know what the heck it is, like the name says, it's another Earth in the solar system. Basically, its placement in the solar system in the Marvel comic universe is on the other side of the sun. That's the simple placement of the thing. It is a planet ruled by the High Evolutionary. Yeah, he's the ruler of this place. And here's something interesting, though. They have a version of Reed Richards, who is known as the Brute. Yes, seriously. Except this version was a bachelor and never married Sue Storm. Yeah, he became mutated thanks to exposure to cosmic rays. So they do end up rescuing, Scarlet Witch here, and of course they go back home. And oh yeah, by the way, I almost forgot to mention, in this trade here, Banshee is left in the Death Sea. And he remains like this for several years until he's fully resurrected in Krakatoa. Also, Sunfire is still in his form. He actually reappears. After that particular run wraps up, he actually returns, not in this book, mind you. He returns about 2 years later. Actually returns not long after Secret Wars. He pops up in pages of Uncanny X-Men, of Extraordinary X-Men. He doesn't do very much after that. This is still a pretty good book. And, I'm going to give this book roughly a 9 out of 10. Now, what happened to these characters afterwards? Well, some of these people made this team, but not all of them. Let's see. The Vision is part of this team. He actually joined this team with this very lineup. And at the Secret Wars, him along with Sam Wilson, who had joined this book with the Third of Spine, they get transferred over to the main Avengers book where they stayed for 3 years until that group disbanded. And the Vision is not doing much of anything nowadays for some reason. Don't know why. Quicksilver, Dr. Voodoo, they're still there along with Rogue. Yeah, these three are still there. Also, Wonder Man is still in Wanda's brain. Yeah, that is a plot thread that is never resolved for 2 years. Well, not until Gary Duggan is wrapping up his run for the book, where he basically resolves that plot thread, along with the plot thread involving the Red Skull. Because, God forbid, anybody at Marvel Comics follow up this plot thread with the whole thing of the clone of Red Skull, who has the brain of Charles Xavier. Get him captured! Like, nobody bothered with this. Gary Duggan was by far the only writer at Marvel who actually bothered with this plot thread. Which, I agree, he should gotta give a medal of power with a couple plot threads that Rick Remender left hanging when he had to leave Marvel after Secret Wars. By the way, this is actually one of his last books for Marvel. If you're curious what was his last book, it was the Hydra miniseries. Yep. Excuse me. Now, Sabretooth, who also joined this volume, he also left after Secret Wars. He ended up returning to the Uncanny X-Men book where he was part of the Cullen Bunn run. And after that wrapped up, he was part of Weapon X, where his version got reversed and he's evil again. Okay, what about the Scarlet Witch, the woman who went missing here? She also left the team for no explained reason and was given her own solo book for a brief period of time, for over a year. And then she came back to the book pretty much as soon as the book was ending. Yep. In like the final issue of the third volume for the series, they bring back the Scarlet Witch to the team, and then the book group gets disbanded during the events of No Surrender. But yeah, that's the weird thing about this lineup. Like, you have this really cool lineup. You have at the start of this run, this volume, you have the Vision, Sabretooth, Dr. Voodoo, Sam Wilson, Captain America, Scarlet Witch, Rogue, and Quicksilver. And this is your lineup at the start of this run. And at issue 5, half the lineup is gone. Yes. Now, this is something no one brings up, though, about this. Like, now they mentioned the reason why that Sabretooth was removed was basically why he's not in the next volume. According to Rogue, he was kicked out of the mansion. Why, you might ask? Never explained. It was something that was brought up by Gary Duggan in the pages of Deadpool. I believe it was in a couple issues of the book. It was right after the opening story arc of that particular volume. They bring that up and never offer an explanation for it at all. As for why Vision and Sam Wilson left the team, never explained. In the case of why Wanda Maximoff left the team, no idea, because there was a lot of stuff basically left unexplained thanks to Secret Wars. Yep. And as of right now, I reviewed a lot of Recommender stuff. I haven't reviewed everything yet. There's still like, with that, you probably think, is that the end of Recommender's run for Uncanny Avengers? No. There's actually about 2 trades left. The original trade, Red Shadow, and I think it's like Avenge the Earth, I think it is. It is Red Shadow and Avenge the Earth. But overall, for this trade series, for collecting issues for Uncanny Avengers, there are 3 left. There's like 2 for the first volume and 1 for the third volume, and that's it. Alright, next up is, in fact, a book that I never thought I would talk about this run. I've talked about the most recent run for this group, but not the original volume, by the original creative team of this book. And you're thinking, what book are you talking about? why it is Runaways, Volume 1, Pride and Joy. Now, this, of course, is done by the original creative team of the book. This, of course, is the start of the series that came out back in 2003. Yeah, 2003. Can you believe it was 18 years since this book came out? Well, the issues, anyways. You see, I wasn't reading comics at that point. I started reading comics a year after this book started. Yep. And this run for Runaways lasted 18 issues. Yep, 18 issues. The original line for the group: Alexander Wilder, Corona Dean, Molly Hayes, Gertrude Yorks, Charlie Sheen, and Nico. Yep, Nico. Yeah, they're a group of childhood friends who are very close to each other, and their parents, they think they're very decent people, until one night, while I think it's actually the Wilders who are hosting a party, they decide to explore the underground of the house, and they come across this mirror, and look at something. It looked like a secret. So they even mentioned about Eyes Wide Shut, and the parents, the Wilders, bring in a teenage girl, and Alex's father stabs her in the frickin' heart as a sacrifice. And the kids witness this. Yeah, they witness a murder. So, they run away. Yep, they pretty much gather things and they run away. The best they can, despite the fact the parents tried to stop them. Yes, we also figured out, though, that Corona Dean is, in fact, an alien. One of these light aliens, because she wears this medical bracelet on her wrist. And the thing was, basically, she was never explained why she was told to wear the damn thing. Turns out it was to hide her powers. Yep, that was the only reason why. And, of course, Charlie Sheen, who called himself originally Neo, and then changed him talk back, decides to steal a pair of power gauntlets as his primary weapon against his own parents. And he has these things up until the end of the next volume of the series. Gertrude gets her a pet. Yes, a talking dinosaur. Who, according to her parents, they basically programmed the pet to obey Gertrude Yorks. I don't remember what the dinosaur's name is. Let's see if I can find it here. Because, what is the name of the dinosaur pet? It is Old Lance. Yep, Old Lance. Yeah. So they after basically going to these various houses, got these various things, they later run away officially, and they go to a testing site known as the Hostel, and that becomes their primary base for pretty much the rest of this run for Runaways. But I gotta say, for the start of this run, it is really good. I am thoroughly going to enjoy reviewing this particular book because I've always wanted to talk about the original run by Brian K. Vaughan. Now, yes, I reviewed the recent run by Rainbow Rudder, I believe that's the name of the writer who writes the most recent run, which it is Rainbow Rowell. Yes, I have been reviewing. Yeah, I have been reviewing like the trades that collect the most recent volume, but never the original volume. And this is one book by Brian K. Vaughan I do recommend because unlike Why the Last Man, which that's overrated, this book is really good. I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. I mean, can you believe it's been 18 years since this just came out? Yes, 18 years. And it's quite strange, so it's like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Yep. Yeah, it's weird, though, the fact that Marvel Select decided to do this for this one. Now, here's the interesting thing when it comes to this particular series. That, well, When this series first started, it was published under an imprint, and you're thinking, what imprint was that? It was imprint known as Tsunami. Now, that was the original imprint where it was set under. It was discontinued after about a couple years. Which, of course, this run published a volume for Human Torch. I believe there's a 12-issue run for Inhumans, Mystique, Namor, Sentinel, the Daniel Way Venom run, the second volume for New Mutants. This book, Wolverine Snick, and the first issue of Emma Frost. This, yeah, like I said, this imprint lasted about 2 years and then it ended. The only reason why this series kept publishing it afterwards was because Brian K. Vaughan begged Marvel Editorial to let me continue the series, because clearly he loved this series and he got a chance to do it. And then he left after he was 24. I don't know the reason for that, but at least he brought the book back. Though the book got canceled after they replaced the writer and relaunched a different writer. Yep. So yeah, that's it for single review. And that's going to be definitely it for tonight, because I got no more time in the videos. But Runaways, really good book by Brian K. Vaughan. Like, this is another book by Brian K. Vaughan that he has written that is really good. The first one I recommended was Saga. Why the Last Man, in my opinion, is an overrated book. I did not like it. I did not like much. I like the artwork per se. I like good bits here and there. It has a good idea, but it's a bit overrated of a series. That's just my opinion of it. People have other opinions, but Why the Last Man. But me, I think the series is overrated. Runaways, good series, not overrated. Though this book was actually turned into a TV show. Yep, a TV show that lasted 3 years. Yes, 3 years. And then the series got canceled. Why, am I asked? Oh, I have no idea. Yeah, it's kind of weird though. I'm not really sure why the fact that Hulu canceled the series after only 3 years. Yeah. But yeah, not much to say about it, just good. Okay, so that's definitely it. So until you see tomorrow for Super Sentai. Okay, next video. Bye.